if the season were to end today, these are the teams that would make the playoffs, and these are the matchups that would occur. First up in the AFC, you would have a first round bye for the Kansas City Chiefs. Right now they have the best record in the conference, sitting at 7-2, and they have the number 1 overall seed. After that, you have the Ravens at 7-3 at the 2 seed, and currently they would be playing the 5-4 Houston Texans. So then you would have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 6-3, and they would be facing off against the 6-3 Cleveland Browns. The Browns are in the 6th seed. And lastly, you would have the 6-3 Miami Dolphins at the 4 seed, battling against the 6-3 Pittsburgh Steelers in the 5. Moving on to the NFC. The first seed is currently held by none other than the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a league best record of 8-1 at the moment, so they would get the first round bye. After that, the number 2 seed in the NFC is held by the Detroit Lions, so they would be facing off in a divisional matchup because the 7th seed is right now held by the Minnesota Vikings. After that, you have the 49ers at a record of 6-3, sitting in the 3 seed, and they would face off against the 6-3 Dallas Cowboys. I feel like we get that playoff matchup every year, and it turns out the same way. So, we could run it back for year 3, or I think I'd be more interested in seeing that get switched up. And then lastly, you have the Saints in the 4 seed at 5-5, even though they have the worst record of all these teams, because they are at the top of their division. They get the 4 seed, and they would play the 6-3 Seahawks, who are in the 5. So that is what the playoff picture looks like if the season ended today. Now moving on into just standings, how each team stands after 10 weeks of action. First up, I'm going to start with the AFC East. This last year was nicknamed the AFC Beast because of how well the division as a whole was doing at winning, but that's not quite the case this year. In fact, you only have one team over 500, which would be the Miami Dolphins. Currently Miami Dolphins at the top of this division at 6-3. Then you've got the Buffalo Bills sitting at 5-5, the New York Jets at 4-5, and then the New England Patriots at 2-8. So for the Dolphins, I would say that this season has gone pretty well. There are some concerns about the Dolphins posing. They're being called frauds because they haven't beat a team with a winning record since last year. And while that is of some concern, you could say that'll change. I think that their offense is pretty high-powered. They've only dropped 3 games this season, and they're beating the teams that they should be beating. They're undefeated at home, so home field advantage in the playoffs is going to play a pretty big part. And their point differential is very far in the positive. They've scored 285 points and allowed 225, so they're sitting at a point differential of plus 60. That's pretty nice. I'm not too worried if I'm a Dolphins fan. Pretty happy, especially to have this top divisional spot. Right now, the Dolphins are the runaway favorite to win the AFC East, now that the Bills are sitting at 5-5. Moving on to the Bills. What is going on with you guys, man? Some very uncharacteristic losses this year. The Bills just lost on Monday Night Football to the Broncos. They also dropped a game against the Patriots. Truly shocking. They also lost against, the Bengals. I loss makes sense, though. That one was kind of expected. The other two, it's like, what is happening to this team? Josh Allen is a turnover machine this year. He was always kind of a turnover-heavy guy early in his career. He took a while to develop. When they brought in Stephon Diggs, he made such a big leap. He looked so much better. But, yeah, he's playing very carelessly. A lot of mistakes in his game. The Bills just fired Ken Dorsey, their offensive coordinator, so maybe things can be repaired in time. But right now, yeah, the Bills don't even have a playoff spot. They are sitting completely outside of the playoff picture at like the 9 in the AFC. So they're going to want to fix this quick if they want any shot of saving the season. That being said, Buffalo did very well against Miami in their one matchup. They beat them by like 21 points. So divisionally, they're doing pretty well, I would say. Well, I mean, I guess to put it in context, they lost against the Patriots and the Jets, but they beat the Dolphins. So maybe good is a strong word. Maybe they're not sitting pretty, but things could be worse. They actually have a much better point differential than the Dolphins because their defense is stronger. So they have a differential of plus 78. I think if they can figure out this offense and limit the turnovers, then the Bills, they really are a playoff team. But they're skidding hard right now, and they need to correct it. After that, you've got the New York Jets sitting at 4-5. Honestly, not a bad position for them. When Aaron Rodgers went down after playing 4 snaps at the beginning of the season, I'm sure many New York fans and non-New York fans thought that their season was just over, but their defense has been pretty phenomenal, keeping them in many of these games. Their offense, on the other hand, it's very streaky. Some games you're barely losing to the Chiefs, other games you're losing to the Raiders, so offensive production has been pretty bad. They haven't scored a touchdown in a while via their offense, but they could be in worse places. Aaron Rodgers' recovery is going unbelievably quickly. He's projected to be back some point in December, which for just tearing his Achilles is unheard of. I don't really know how he's doing that, but right now the offense is not cutting it. I really don't think that the playoffs are within their reach this year, but this is pretty promising. The roster overall is nice. Rodgers is going to be a huge upgrade from Zach Wilson. The O-line is definitely their biggest point of concern right now. I would say, like, they know what to fix. At least they can try and repair that before next year. Maybe go out and get another big wide receiver, since Mecole Hardman didn't work out. But yeah, as a Jets fan, I'm not. Obviously, it's hard to watch your offense, but the season could have been, well, I'm sure the season was supposed to be much better when you thought you had Aaron Rodgers. But once you lost Aaron Rodgers, I'm sure that people thought that the season would go much worse than it has. So, it's honestly not that bad. And then you've got the New England Patriots. It's over, man. The dynasty, has crumbled. One of the worst teams in the entire NFL. The offense is atrocious. Truly heartbreaking stuff. Bill Belichick's tenure could be coming to an end soon. Either he'll step down or the team might move away from him. I really wouldn't like to see that. But yeah, it's a shame. This team really seemed like they could have turned things around with Bill O'Brien. Week 1 and 2 looked pretty promising, but it's not it. The entire offense needs an overhaul, and the defense just needs to be healthy. But yeah, what can you do? I guess just look ahead. The season's well and over. Honestly, at this point, just tank. We have the 3rd worst record in the league got all teams sitting in the positive column. The Ravens are at the top at 7-3. Then you've got the Steelers at 6-3, the Browns at 6-3, and the Bengals at 5-4. The top three teams are projected to make the playoffs at the moment, and then you have the Bengals just barely missing the playoffs. The Ravens have looked great. Lamar Jackson, not statistically, but in terms of impact, he is in the MVP conversation. He's been playing very well. Ravens with one of the best records in the league. All of their losses coming in the fourth quarter. They were choke leads. They have an amazing point differential. One of the best defenses in the league. So their point differential is at a plus 113. That is crazy. I don't really know what they need to be worried about or what they need to focus on. Their competition, really just keep playing how you've been playing and you will be set. They're doing great stuff, and I just encourage them to keep it up. Then you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, even though this team is at 6-3 and their defense is quite nice, I don't think that this is sustainable. They are sitting at a negative 26 point differential. This is a fraudulent team, in my opinion. Matt Canada has the offense in shambles. They have been outgained in every single game of the year, and yet they sit at a positive record. Now, that's a huge testament to Mike Tomlin's coaching and the tenacity of this defense, but that is simply not something that you can sustain. At some point, one of these other teams is going to get hot, and they're going to take this playoff spot away from the Steelers, in my opinion. This is not winning football that they're playing. It's not losing football for sure, but it's not winning football to me. But once again, bravo for being able to do this the way that they have. They're winning against all odds, in my opinion, and I don't know how long that will last for. After that, you've got the Cleveland Browns at 6-3. This is honestly quite impressive as well, considering how much time Deshaun Watson missed this year. The defense really stepped it up. This is a team with a positive point differential sitting at plus 44. They just beat the Ravens, so they've gone out and shown that they can do it against the best of the best. The defense is balling. The Browns are perhaps putting together one of their best seasons in recent memory. If they can just figure things out a little more on offense, this could be a good team. I feel like their playoff spot is not really in jeopardy just because of how good their defense is, but I could be wrong. And then lastly, the Bengals at 5-4. They just lost to the Texans, and so the Texans have the tiebreaker in the head-to-head column, and that's why the Texans have the 7th slot at the season. I think that the Bengals can easily win this back. They could easily take the Steelers' spot, in my opinion. They do have a negative point differential right now at minus 10, but that's because of their flat-footed start to the season, and it's still a better point differential than the Steelers. These guys, led by Joey Burrow, they'll figure it out. It's a winning team. They've gotten back in the positive column. They just lost their win streak, but they'd won many in a row. I think that they'll be fine. They will probably regain a playoff spot. Moving on to the AFC South, you've got the Jacksonville Jaguars at 6-3, the Houston Texans at 5-4, the Colts at 5-5, and the Titans at 3-6. Now the Jaguars at 6-3. Ordinarily, you'd be celebrating your ass off if you're a Jaguars fan, but after just getting routed 34-3 by the 49ers, it's probably feeling a little bit bittersweet. And now the Texans are on the rise, so I'm a little bit panicked if I'm a Jaguars fan. Not the way that you want to start exiting a bye week. They still do have a positive point differential plus 6, but this is a bit concerning. It's not as sure shot as it was at the beginning of the season. I feel like no one expected the Texans to be this good. I certainly didn't. I thought that they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league. And right now they're like one game back from this top spot in the division, maybe 1.5. So yeah, that is a very valid reason to be worried. And on the other hand, if you're the Texans, I'm ecstatic, not only are you fighting for a playoff spot when no one even thought you were going to come close to it, you could possibly win the division. CJ Stroud playing like better than anyone could have expected. He's currently getting talks of MVP. Like he's just in the conversation, which is insane. They're at a plus 25 point differential. Things are looking very, very bright for the Texans at the moment. So yeah, props to them. Props to D'Amico Ryan for his coaching this year. This team has won in back-to-back games in the crunch time. CJ Stroud showing up in the clutch early in his career. Very impressive stuff. So yeah, good for the Texans. Then you've got the Colts. A very mixed season, to be honest. Sitting at 5-5, it's not the worst. It's not the best. They were the only team to have scored above 20 points in every game before Sunday's matchup, where they only scored 10. The offense hasn't been that great. The defense has been alright. They sit at a point differential of -6. It's not the worst of spots to be in, obviously. But I don't know. I don't really see them hanging around with the rest of these teams. I think that the Texans, the Bengals, even the Steelers, the Browns, these are all better teams. I don't think that they're going to be able to do anything with this record. Their quarterback situation right now is Gardner Minshew, Anthony Richardson out the rest of the way. I don't see any reason to try and win games, if I'm being honest. At this point, like, yeah, you're at 5-5, but what are you gonna do with that? Just get the draft spot. Heal up, rest up for your quarterback. That's the future of your franchise. This season is kind of meaningless. Like, you don't have to tank, but I don't really see any point in winning. And then going on to the Tennessee Titans. The Titans, yeah, Will Levis has played a couple games in a row now. This was like his third or fourth start. I think that's the right decision. Danamo's kind of done for. Levis in his first game was playing lights out. After that, he's cooled off a bit, but just stick with it, see what you have. They kind of sold a little bit at the trade deadline. Got rid of Kevin Byard. I think that more selling is going to happen in the offseason. They're kind of in a rebuild right now, so embrace it. It is what it is. You're at 3-6. There's not much to prove. Let Will Levis do his thing. If he can win you games, then let him win those games. But just give him the keys. See what he has. See what he can do. Maybe that guy can help save that quarterback room. I don't know. After that, you've got the Kansas City. You've got the AFC West. So the Chiefs at 7-2, the Raiders at 5-5, the Chargers at 4-5, and the Broncos at 4-5. Quite remarkable stuff. I don't think after 10 weeks I would have predicted that the Raiders are sitting at number 2, but here we are. Especially after the season they've been having. The Chiefs at 7-2, it kind of makes sense. Their offense is not quite as dominant as in previous years, or at least it wasn't to start the season. They've picked it up by now. They're coming off a bye week. Like second best record in the NFL. It's the same old Chiefs, to be honest. They're at a point differential of plus 65, looking sharp. And yeah, they're going to do their thing. They play their best football at this point in the year. And the playoffs is where they specialize. I don't know if any team can realistically take this bye week from them. Maybe. Well, we'll see. close. They've won 2 in a row now. This team, dude, what is going on? I've got like fuzz on my nose or something. I'm sorry about that. Really bothering my breathing. Okay, but yeah, they're at a negative 33 differential just because they were so tremendously bad to start the season. They couldn't even put up like I don't remember what the number was, but they were really struggling offensively. Devontae Adams looked pissed, and now that he's gone, Antonio Pierce is doing a good job. The locker room is rallying around him. Everyone looks happy. 5-5 is solid, and just for the vibes, for the good energy, keep it going. Win as many games as you can. Like, build on this. I think Antonio Pierce, this is his time to show if he can take over in this coaching role. The Raiders were like in this exact situation with Josh Gruden a couple years ago, and Rich Bisaccia did a great job, led them to a playoff spot. Everyone loved him, and then they didn't hire him. They went with McDaniels. So the Raiders need to learn from this mistake. I hope Antonio Pierce all the best luck, and yeah, I'm rooting for him. But then you got the Chargers. Another disappointing season. You know, their defense is just not good. The offense is very productive. Wait a minute. That is crazy. Sorry, I'm looking at the points for. The Colts have the most points. The Colts have scored more points than, like, most teams in the AFC. That's kind of insane to think about. But, nonetheless, yeah, another year where the Chargers defense and coaching has kind of let down a very promising start to Justin Herbert's early career. I personally do think that Justin Herbert could be better in the clutch, but he's very talented, and he's being wasted. His rookie deal is being completely wasted by this Chargers team. And so yeah, they've got to figure it out. They've got to fire Staley, to be honest. This season is a bust. They could try and piece it together. They should try. They should try by all means to win. They're at a positive point differential of plus 24, but I think it's just too rich of a competition to do anything at this point. And you'd have to win out. You'd have to like drop maybe one game. I don't really see them doing that. And then you've got the Broncos. The Broncos started off super bad. They were at a record of like they were winless, and then they had like only beat the Bears barely. But now they're at 4-5, so this is very promising. In back-to-back weeks, they just beat the Chiefs and then the Bills. They're on a 3-game win streak. The Broncos are looking much better than at the beginning of the year, so I'm very happy if I'm a Broncos fan to see the progress that the team is making. Russell Wilson looks pretty good, to be honest. So this is good stuff for next year. I think this year is pretty done for, but very high hopes. You can hopefully have the season next year that you're hoping for this year. The defense is much improved. Still sitting at the worst. Okay, not the worst. The second worst point differential in the AFC at negative 52. But, you know, like, pretty much all of that came from the Dolphins game. 50 of that 52. So, don't sweat it too much. And yeah, that is the AFC. I have a class that I need to attend now, so I will be back with the NFC in just a bit. Alright, welcome back. I just got out of class, so now I'll be resuming the video. Just as an update on my AFC side of things, I just saw that Deshaun Watson suffered a fractured shoulder during the game against the Ravens, and he is now out for the remainder of the year. So I know that I said that the Browns will likely keep their playoff spot due to their defense and the return of Deshaun Watson, but now that he's out for the year, they have to turn to PJ Walker, and as nice as he is, that is basically a Zach Wilson type of team now. Great defense, but the offense is going to be not as good, especially with no Nick Chubb. Yeah, very unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear it. The Browns were going to have one of their best seasons, but that they fall off of this playoff picture. So yeah, just wanted to provide that update. So, getting back to the NFC side of things, we're going to start off with the NFC East. So, in this division, you've got the Philadelphia Eagles at 8-1, the Dallas Cowboys at 6-3, the Washington Commanders at 4-6, and the New York Giants at 2-8. So, with the Eagles, you have a very, very powerful team. This team has lost only one game. That too, it was kind of a choked lead, you could say, against the New York Jets. The Jets have a great defense. It was rather surprising because I don't think that the Jets had ever beaten the Eagles in their history. So the fact that they did it and gave the Eagles their only loss of the season is quite surprising. But the Eagles have a great team. You know, they got stronger after trading for Kevin Byard. They were already very good. Their offense is nice. Their defense is nice. A.J. Brown is having a phenomenal year. Jalen Hurts looks fantastic. Offensive line is good. The D-line, even though they lost a lot of people on defense, their defense has been holding up. Yeah, there's not much I can say about this team that isn't positive. The running game is great. I think that they could truly go back to the Super Bowl and finish what they couldn't do last year. That is the ceiling for this team. Super Bowl champions. They don't look like they've faltered at all. They look every bit as good. And yeah, so if I am an Eagles fan, I'm probably loud and obnoxious for a good reason. Sometimes they're just rowdy because they're Philly fans, but own it. This is still your time to shine. So yeah, be proud. Then you've got the Dallas Cowboys at 6-3. Some very good wins against the Giants this year. Their point differential is actually better than the Eagles. The Eagles are at positive 57, but the Cowboys sit at positive 104. That is, I want to say, the second best point differential in the league, only behind the Ravens. So, something that can't be overlooked. The Cowboys played very well recently. They've also had some crazy losses, though. They handed the Arizona Cardinals their only win through the first, 9 weeks, which is kind of puzzling. But Dak Prescott looks to be doing better after last week's performance. He played very, very well. And yeah, the Cowboys, in recent memory, as long as they stay healthy, they've kind of been a team that does great. And this is another one of those years. Will it be enough to actually put everything together and win it all? No, I don't think so. Realistically speaking, in their current matchup, if they played the 49ers, I think that they get their teeth knocked out once again. They already lost to them this season. They've lost to them the last 2 postseasons in a row. They don't have what it takes to beat the Niners, in my opinion. But an interesting thing to note is that the Cowboys have a 4-0 home record, but they're 2-3 in away games. This is interesting because the Eagles will likely win this division, and so that would mean the Cowboys are a wildcard team, and they would be playing most of their playoff games on the road. That will make things much tougher on them. So if they could somehow snatch the top spot from Philly, which is doable. It's doable. It's going to be very tough, but it's technically doable. There's a lot of time left. That could really boost their postseason success. But under their current circumstances, I think that they're a sure shot to make the playoffs. I don't know how much they're doing after that. Then you've got the Commanders. The Commanders at 4-6. They've made adjustments. They've looked good in some ways. Their offense was nice at times, but they're not there yet. This was kind of like a dark horse playoff team before the season. Some people thought maybe they can use Eric Bieniemy and turn everything around. And yeah, I've definitely else was gonna make it except for them. And looking at them through 10 weeks, I don't think that they can make it. 4-6 is not. It's not even. But they're going in the right direction. They did low-key clear house during the trade deadline, getting rid of both Chase Young and Montez Sweat, which kind of sucks because those are two guys that you really, I don't know, I feel like those were great players, franchise level players. Chase Young is awesome, so sucks to lose them. They're gonna have to address that in the draft, I feel like. But yeah, they're mid. They're not bad. They're not good. The Commanders have kind of like gotten to a midpoint. It's gonna take some more to get good, but what those steps are, I'm not sure. For the rest of the season, may as well see what you have. I feel like. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. There's like people screaming outside. I couldn't close the window because there were spider webs on the handle, and I don't know if I've shared this, but I have severe arachnophobia. Kind of ironic because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, but yeah, spider webs. It's gonna be hard for me to close that window, and so apologies if you hear just random chit chat from outside. I'm on the second floor, but that guy has a booming voice. But yeah, Commanders. Let's move on to the Giants. The Giants are one of the biggest letdowns this season. It's almost comical that I had them going to the playoffs at this point. They have the worst point differential in the entire league. They're 2-8, by the way. At negative 148. Their defense has allowed 266 points. Oh, actually, let me take a look at something. Wow. So it looks like the Commanders have the worst defense in the league, allowing 274 points. So yeah, maybe losing Chase Young and Montez Sweat does hurt a lot. They're gonna have to fix that. Their offense has been better, but like, jeez, that is bad. The Giants aren't that far behind. 266 points allowed. Bad. But points for is really where it is concerning. You look at all the teams in the NFL, all the really bad teams, and this really takes the cake. Like the Jets and the Patriots. The Jets have 144 points for. The Patriots have 141. And yet you look at the Giants and they have 118. That is honestly very impressive. So yeah, this offense sucks. Flat out, yeah. You've got Saquon, you've got Danny Dimes. They paid Danny Dimes a ton of money. Their offensive line is very bad. Saquon might be on the way out. They didn't really get a good wide receiver. This is another team that needs an entire offensive overhaul like the Patriots. They will benefit from a good draft position at the very least, since they hold their own draft pick, but things are not good, and this is especially surprising considering how good they were last year and how Brian DeBoer had turned the team around, but it looks like they're back to the same old Giants. Danny Dimes prevails in his old ways, but yeah, good luck to New York fans. It's tough out there. You have a promising season and then it just falls back to not even mediocrity, just trash. But I'm right there with you guys. New England sucks too, so it's whatever. We're past our glory days. After that, you've got the NFC North. Leading this, you have the Lions at 7-2. Then you've got the Vikings close behind at 6-4. The Packers at 3-6, and the Bears at 3-7. So the Lions, this is one of the best seasons that they've had in my lifetime. They are going to make the playoffs for sure. They're also, I think, pretty much a lock to win this division. As good as Josh Dobbs, I'll get into the Vikings later. But yeah, the Lions, they're rolling offensively, Cousins going down, Justin Jefferson being on IR, but Josh Dobbs was a great pickup for this team. They traded for him at the deadline, and he has gotten them 2 wins in a row. The locker room is rallying behind him. It's great to see. Justin Jefferson should be back either this week or the next. It's all very positive in Minnesota. We have to see if Josh Dobbs can keep this up, but he was playing pretty well in Arizona as well. He was keeping things competitive. Now he gets a better roster. He loves that connection with DJ Hawkinson. So maybe the Vikings can keep their playoff spot if Josh Dobbs can keep this miracle run up. Could be like that. Well, it would be a little bit different. It would be like a mix of the Chase Keenum run on the Vikings and the Nick Foles run on the Eagles. Maybe. Who knows? But either way, I hope that the fans are happy. They're enjoying the Dobbs season right now, and I hope that he's able to keep it up. There's honestly not like a ton of teams that I think are really deserving of the spot more than the Vikings. They're a good team. So, yeah, I really hope they do make it. Then you've got the Packers. The Packers have struggled offensively this season. Their point differential is not that bad at -3, but lots of turnovers. Jordan Love had like a streak going of games with the interception. Then he cleared it, and then he just went right back to it with 2 last week. Definitely, I mean, like, to me, this was to be expected. Jordan Love, he was a question mark, and this team couldn't even make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers last year, and I feel like they only got worse in the offseason. So, like, naturally, their defense is keeping them in games, but their offense isn't. Like, I feel like this was not that unexpected. They don't have a ton going for them right now. I think you want to get Jordan Love in rhythm. Don't tank, because what are you really going to get out of it? You're not going to draft a quarterback. You have to develop this guy anyways. So, yeah, just go out there, try and win some games, try and correct the errors, see if you can play a little bit better than you have been. But that's about it. They're definitely not making the playoffs. And then the Bears. The Bears, honestly, disappointing season thus far. 3-7. They got off to a sloppy start. Then they won. Justin Fields got hurt. And then they won some with Tyson Bagent. Bagent has done a decent job of filling in. But really, you wish that Justin Fields was out there, because even if they're losing, it's crucial development. It sucks to see that he's injured early in his career. They're sitting at -51, and the point differential was just not that good. They need, I guess, more help on the defensive end of the ball. Can't really blame the offense for not putting that much up when you have Tyson Bagent, who was like playing against nobodies last year. But he's holding it. Like, he's doing the best that he can. And yeah, they're honestly, like, there's no reason for them to win anything. Once Justin Fields is back, they already have the Panthers pick, and they have also sucked this year, so they would have the number 1 and number 4 pick. If I'm the Bears, I'm trying to get the number 1 and the number 2. Like, I don't care. I don't want to win any games. Sure, throw Justin Fields back in once he's healthy and let him get going, but the draft is more important at this point. You're not making the playoffs. Like, what's the point? And you have already the 1 pick. May as well double down, get another premium pick. And then, if, like, they don't want Caleb Williams, just do exactly what they did with the Panthers this year. Like, they could repeat this process year after year if they really want. Yeah. Maybe see if you can steal another great player from a team, like a DJ Moore of this year. Who knows? After that, you've got the New Orleans, the NFC South. This is a weak division. The New Orleans Saints are at the top with a 5-5 record. They have a good defense, only allowing 198 points. They've got a positive point differential at +16. +16 is the that great. Derek Carr has been kind of injured this year, in and out of injuries. They've had some legal troubles. Michael Thomas getting arrested, Chris Olave getting arrested. They just haven't been gelling like that. I really thought that they would be better than they are. I solidly thought that this could be like a 12-win team because of how easy their schedule was, but they're simply not that good. They'll make the playoffs because the Buccaneers, Falcons, and Panthers are just not as good. The Buccaneers honestly could steal this from them. It wouldn't be that hard. So it's just like who can scrape by enough to make it to the playoffs. I think whatever team makes it is probably getting stomped, unfortunately. But yeah, someone's gotta go, and I would say the Saints are the top pick. Then the Buccaneers are right behind them at 4-5. They've won some games. They're also positive in the point differential category, only allowing 173 points this year, which is quite good. In fact, that's really solid, to be honest. I didn't realize their defense was that good. They're at positive 5, and you could steal it from the Saints. They're not making it in the wild card, but you could steal it from the Saints. The Saints aren't that good, really. They have something to fight for, and I'm just going to go on to the Falcons. The Falcons have lost 3 in a row. They're minus 20 in their point differential, but they're right there. 4-6 is not that far off of 5-5. Both of these teams could muster something together and leapfrog to the top of this division. So all these teams may as well keep fighting. And then you get to the Panthers, who are 1-8, but you don't own your draft pick, so there's no reason to tank. If I'm the Panthers, I'm trying to win every single game. I'm trying to develop Bryce Young, keep him protected. You need a new O-line. You need a new wide receiver one. But, there's no benefit to losing, so may as well. I guess if you're the Falcons or the Buccaneers, you could prioritize getting your franchise quarterback. But if you're not getting like Caleb Williams or Drake May, I don't know. Maybe Michael Penix Jr. is getting drafted next year. One of those guys, it could be worth it, but playoffs are more important in my opinion. Heineke almost won a playoff game once, and Baker Mayfield, he has won a playoff game, if I'm not mistaken. So, just go out there and try your best. Then, lastly, you move on to the NFC West. This has San Fran at 6-3, the Seahawks at 6-3, the Los Angeles Rams at 3-6, and the Cardinals at 2-8. San Francisco has the only positive point differential in this division. They are at positive 109, which is quite funny considering they're at 6-3. But positive 109 is my bad. That is the second best in the league, not the Cowboys. Cowboys are third best. So this is obviously a very good team. Outside of their 3-game skid, they were dominating, putting up at least 30 points a game. And they might be back to it. They had Chase Young. This team is, on paper, phenomenal. If they can just stay healthy, they could honestly win it all. They could take it from the Eagles, in my opinion. Nothing left to say about them. It could easily be their year. They've been so close on the brink, and I feel like they're really all in right now. Bosa is in his prime. You got CMC still functioning. Purdy started off the year very well. Coaching is good. I don't know, their window might be closing. I hope that they are able to get one eventually. But I don't know. It's hard to say. Then you got the Seahawks at 6-3, but with a negative point differential of -1. They are an intriguing team. They've really got smacked a couple times this season, and then they've bounced back. personally, I don't think that is going to happen at all, but they'll make the playoffs for sure. And if they get that NFC South matchup like they are right now, they can definitely win that game. So we'll see. We'll see about the Seahawks. They're doing better than I anticipated going into the season. So maybe, yeah, they'll keep it up. Then you have the LA Rams at 3-6. Weird team, man. They started off kind of strong, better than I thought with that week 1 victory. They're right now not doing the best. Negative 26 in a point differential. Matthew Stafford got hurt, and so they've been starting like Brett Rypien. That guy sucks. Puka Nacua had a very strong opening campaign for Rookie of the Year, but I think that he now very easily loses that to CJ Stroud. Yeah, the team isn't as bad as I thought that they would be, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that they're good. They could win some more games if they'd like, but at 3-6 and Stafford not the best. I don't think. Sorry, I'm tired. They've lost 3 in a row. I don't think that they're gonna be able to do anything with this season. Like, McVay is talented, but it would take a lot. 3-6 is quite a bit back. I think that this is a team that like gives up all their draft picks. Yeah, go for as many victories as you need. You're not gonna get anything, I don't think. I forgot who I was talking about. The Rams do not believe in first round draft picks. So at this point, yeah, I guess you have to pray that you win out and make the playoffs. Otherwise, like, there's no real benefit. Hopefully Stafford is back and can save the season. I don't know. Then you've got the Arizona Cardinals. Now they're at 2-8, but that's actually not that bad considering Kyler Murray was out for every game except the last one. He comes back against the Falcons and gets a victory immediately, doubling their win total. They're at a negative 87 in the point differential category, but that's not. Sorry, someone just entered the classroom I'm in. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. The Cardinals, they have a lot to look forward to. Kyler Murray is like back. He's probably good. They can win games. I don't know if you necessarily want to, considering you could get a great draft pick. I don't think that they're gonna want to replace him, but at the same time, it's a good draft pick. So let him go out there. Let him show off what he can do. If he can win you games, honestly, let him win. Just because you don't, with the first-year head coach, it's a bad look to lose a ton. But yeah, they don't have a ton to play for. They're definitely out of the playoff picture. But yeah, that is it. That is my NFL, what do you call it? Mid-season standings check-in. So hopefully you walk away with an idea of how each team is doing compared to their preseason analysis and what maybe their outcome for the rest of the year looks like. Maybe it's hopeful, maybe it's not. And yeah, thanks for